Hey everybody, it's me, Pepe. Pepe's Plants, Pepe's Fruit Trees, and thanks for coming out and checking out my channel once again. Today we're going to talk about this soursop tree over here, and a little bit about repotting it and getting into a larger container. What I have is a 7-gallon, this is a 7-gallon container, and it's been growing in there for a while, and it's time to transplant it, and I want to put it in a much larger container. I don't want to overdo it and go too big, because if I go too big now with the rainy season, you know, there's a tendency for many days of rain and the potential for the container to get oversaturated, and then the roots can kind of rot away. Not a good situation. Even though we do use a very good quality potting soil as opposed to a garden soil, it's important to use a potting soil. The potting soil is structured to be able to aerate properly and dry out, but yet maintain just sufficient moisture for a container. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna plant the soursop tree in the container. Remember, it came out of a 7-gallon. Now we're gonna go into something about the size of a between a 15 and 20-gallon container. One of the things I did is I got my drill a little while ago and I did punch a bunch of holes in it, quite a bit of holes. They're small, but there's a lot of them. And I also like to go up along the side of the pot, all around, everywhere, popping in some holes, so we get a little bit more of airflow, and we also can make sure we have good drainage with the container. So one of the things that often happens is that plants become root bound. This one's been in the 7-gallon just about the appropriate amount of time, but if I would have left it in there a little longer, we would have had a lot of circling roots. So let me show you what this looks like at the bottom of the container. I should say at the bottom of the root ball. And you can see it's well rooted, and it has a bunch of roots which I've now taken and I'm spreading them out like this, and I'll continue to do that. And don't stress out over it, okay? I know you're thinking, oh my God, that's terrible, you're gonna kill it. No, it's not gonna kill it. I mean, a lot of people are so afraid of playing around with the roots. Some are very sensitive, yes, some plants are very sensitive, but even those plants will often bounce right back if you properly cared for them after you've repotted them. So the reason I'm doing this, circling, getting away and going around my hand here and kind of like spreading out all these roots, is because, and I think I've said this in other videos I've done, the roots have memory and they'll continue to circle if that's what they've been doing. So we'll spread them around like this, and then I'll come right back. I'm going to fill the pot up with some soil. Okay, so what I did is I've gone ahead and I've filled the container up, and I've put the soil in all around the bottom of the container, and then I've placed the root ball into the container like this, see? And all the roots are spread around. Place it in the container, and now we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna take the rest of the potting soil and we're gonna bring it up right to the edge of the soil from the container plant, from the soursop, bring it right up to the edge, and it will be approximately 1 inch to 1/2 inch below the edge of the container. The reason you want to be about 1 inch to 1/2 inch below the edge of the container is so that when you water, you don't have a bunch of soil all splashing out all over the place. And you can also use it to then go ahead and take different fertilizers, and very important if they're an organic fertilizer, that you come around the edges and you push, make like a little trench with your hand, and then put this organic fertilizer in and then cover it, because if you just let it stay on the surface, it's organic, it's going to get wet, it's going to start to stink, and it's going to bring some flies and whatnot around. So put it underneath the soil. Now in this particular case, I am not yet using the organic fertilizer. I do it on and off, and I will begin to put that on there later. I just don't have any right now. Regardless of whether I personally use organic fertilizer or not, one thing I do use and I encourage, and some people disagree with me, but I don't see any harm in it at all. This is a time release type of a fertilizer, and this is a 13-13-13, okay? It's a all-purpose vegetable flour fertilizer, and it's just wonderful because this does not release the nutrients into the soil based on moisture. It releases it on temperature. So when you have the temperatures increasing, it will release it, and that is better than releasing with moisture, because moisture, ultimately you get too much moisture and you get too much release of the fertilizer all at once, and you run the risk of burning your plant. All right, Be right back and we'll show you this all filled up. Okay, so our soursop tree is in the container, and I'm gonna go ahead and fill it up with the rest of the soil. Again, it's really important that you use a good quality potting soil, and there are many good brands out there in the marketplace. If you make your own, terrific. Just make sure that you know it's well drained and you'll be in great shape. A lot of these potting soils that you get from your garden centers will have some fertilizer in there, but the amount of fertilizer that they contain is very minimal. Also, they're based with peat, so they're peat based. There's some perlite in there. It looks like they put some wood chips, and it looks like, you know, basically that's most of what the mix is. So this is about what you want to do. Then you want to push down, and then we'll come back and we will water this in also to get out the air pockets. So it's dry right now. I have not watered it, and I'm going to need just a little bit more soil because my root ball is sitting just a little bit higher. So I've got another bag of soil. I'm going to get a little, not a lot, and then I'm going to go ahead and we'll water this guy in nicely. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're taking care of the watering now. We're just going to go in here and make sure we go all around with the hose, get all the air pockets out, and basically that's all you really have to do. Water it in well, get out the air pockets. And then you can just lightly water the top of it. Water it in real good because this soil was really dry. And we have about a ½ an inch below the edge of the container. And then what I also did is, it's important when you first plant them to go ahead and use a bamboo stick in order to keep the tree from maybe the wind knocking it over on you. Primarily, that's the main reason. Typically, you don't want to buy a tree that's got a whole bunch of stakes in it and a bunch of poles to keep it from falling over, because if you have a tree that's staked all the time, it can end up being a kind of a weak tree because the root system actually doesn't move around at all in the soil. It doesn't get strong and it actually becomes weak. So trees with stakes are commonly found in nurseries because they do need them not to fall over when they plant them in the pot. But if you see something that's really huge with a stick and it's kind of leaning to the side, beware, it's not the best choice in plant to buy. It's probably root bound, and it probably has not only a circling root bound root system, but it's probably also got very weak roots, and it probably doesn't stay well in that container unless they put a stake in there or a stick to hold it. So this is actually a little bit smaller of a bamboo stick. It's all I have available at the moment. It should be bigger than this one, and it should go all the way up about almost to the top of the soursop tree. Okay, so our soursop tree is planted in its container. It's going to be really happy in there. This particular tree has been growing in full sun for quite a while, so I'm going to go ahead and not worry about it getting full sun. But you know, since I did kind of beat up the roots and everything to all the kind of spreading them out, I want to make sure that the tree doesn't have too much to stress out over the hot sun all day. Now it's getting really hot, so I'm going to go ahead and move this guy to a little bit of a shadier area. There's only so much you can get out of a tree in a container when you're trying to get fruit. So yes, it can be done, and it has been done, and people do it, but you don't get a huge yield. Soursop can be grown in full sun, but it does like a little bit of shade. And also keep in mind that they do not like the cool weather. So again, people grow them in containers in cooler climates, and believe it or not, bring them out in the summer, bring them back inside and put grow lights or put them in a room in a house that has large windows, and then back out in the summer. But again, those are the people, generally speaking, are growing some trees because they do want to utilize the leaves. Okay? Thanks for checking out our channel. The tree is planted in the container. It's going to do fabulous, okay? And I think that you can do it as well.